every time.
Every time. I don't get it.
Or if you Google it, you'll find people.
Oh, I am 1,000% certain because I know I've heard Tim Rogers and a bunch of other people that stream talk about their audio problems. And JJ and I were talking the other day about how video is just like completely sorted out, and there's exact figures of what you should do and how you do it, and the settings all work perfectly. And audio is just like, I don't know,
left
man.
in the dust.
Buy a couple $1,000 things and see if they work.
I think also the issue with, well, on the software side, the issue with audio is that because there are no good solutions for all that stuff, you just end up with like a bunch of ramshackle solutions that like don't work for every case. And when you start trying to bring in other pieces of hardware, you make life even harder, right? Like, oh, your computer has multiple microphones. Windows is friggin' confused. It like cannot deal and therefore freaks out all the time.
Yeah, there's a microphone built into your camera. Well, that's not the same as the other microphone. And also you have a Stream Deck that counts as a microphone. And
yeah, that's the stuff that Windows is just like lost always.
You're running it all through virtual cables on Voicemeeter.
Yeah, that's the stuff that you will never, like, you can't sort that out because the software isn't sorted out because Windows isn't sorted out.
I really wish they would look at the problem one day and just be like, Windows would be better off if everyone could just do all the things from Windows that they want to do, and they just spent a little bit more money,
Yeah.
I know that it costs lots and lots and lots of money to develop Windows. I know. And it's not fair to ask them to do that, but
I think the bigger problem with it is that even if they did come up with a solution, it would require you to like opt into something, and then all the old ones would be like, no. And so then it still wouldn't work, right? You've now you've created a format that solves all the problems of all the previous formats. No one adopts your format. You have now just made the problem worse, right? It's like the literal problem with video codecs and stuff too is the same.
Oh, it's good to hear your voice again, JJ. We can actually get going and not include all of that in the podcast because I'm sure it's boring. So instead, we just say the ad is over. The battle will now begin.
Jeez, yeah.
I know, right? That was a pretty good segue to welcoming you back. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Michael. Michael's here. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah. This is Andy, and I'm good. Since we had it, should we take a quick count of how people are doing in Champions of the Continent? Since that was our intro.
Yeah. Quick check-in.
I think let's limit it to like 2 minutes apiece. JJ, did you play it a lot on the plane?
No, not on the plane at all, right? Because you have to have internet connection.
Yep.
That is a problem.
They're on a bus that's driving around the hours on a freeway. That's an okay time.
That's true.
So I got through. I'm up to chapter 8 of Master of All, and I fought the boss one time and got whooped, and I was like, all right, well, that was good. Now I can go deal with all this. Like, I knew there's a bunch of stuff that's missable in that dungeon, so I was starting to run around and look for that stuff and try and collect it. I'll probably end up fighting 100 soldiers before I beat that boss anyway.
Yeah, nice.
Do you think that you're gonna have to like go back and re-level people and get ready?
I probably need to I probably need to like spend some actual time and like do gear. I haven't really done like optimized anyone's gear in any direction. Like go through and like find all the people who have the best stuff on all my parties and take them off and like make one good super party with all my best stuff.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
And then probably also spend a little bit of time of like, okay, what are the actual weaknesses of this boss, and like who should go where, and like do some actual strategic planning, because I've just like had people sort of lined up wherever kind of willy-nilly a little bit, and it's probably time to like buckle down and like, okay, need to make like a real battle plan here, because you gotta kind of do some stuff. in that fight, and I've not been doing stuff. So more than just like who can hit as many times as possible to break the shields on these random Kates. Like I just need like actual characters that do real work.
Yeah, I have run into. I'll take my 2 minutes. I've run into. I spent a lot on the most recent gacha step up, and then afterwards, I actually pulled against the regular pull just to get enough shards to get some of those level up berries.
Yeah.
My luck is roughly that I have three 5 stars, and 2 of them I have now pulled twice, right? Because I have an awakening for 2 of my 3. So that's my current level of luck in that. But I did end up pulling basically 4 out of 8 of the characters of a new, more balanced, better 4-star backup team instead of the 3.5-star backup team for these guys that I had before. So now I've unfortunately busted my all XX chromosome team up for the time being until I get some of these class up items that I am never apparently going to get from a hunt. Are they more common higher level? Because that's ridiculous.
No, it's just impossible.
It's a straight 0.5%.
It's oh my god.
I will say the higher level ones though do give significantly more experience, so you're not wasting your time doing the harder ones.
Well, I am wasting my time because if I keep taking these people to try and get guide stones for them while they're max leveled all the time, I'm just like 3 of these people are just sitting there max leveled. I just can't.
Experience is not the thing you should be after from hunts.
Right. It's the class up item, right?
It's the class up item and then guide stones.
Yeah.
Ugh. It just feels real bad when you see 50,000 on the screen and you're like, well, that's all gone to waste. But I did get Fiora to 71, and that means maybe I'll actually see the 100,000 Kate once in a while. Maybe.
I think the percentages are like 55, 45, and 55, 40, and 5.
Okay. 5% of the time. I'll take it.
Well, no, the 5% of the time once you hit 71 is the 300 one.
300? I have yet to see a 100.
So with a character at 71, you should be seeing 50, 100, and the rare 300.
Oh, so it'll bump all my Kates up a level, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. You shift the percentages to the next higher row of buckets.
I see. And there's no higher row of buckets than that, I assume.
There is in Japan, but I think it only came out recently. There's a 450.
Yeah, I noticed my experience bucket for my level 71 is now 500,000. It barely moves after anything.
Yes.
Yeah. You're good. You're gonna be even with the 100,000 ones. It's gonna be a long time between level ups now.
Yeah. So actually, I've taken a step back from Master of All. I'm still in chapter 4 of it, and I'm just running around doing some of those 3-star stories in order to get guide stones for the 3 stars and get some of them to 45 so that one of my hunts I don't have a 500 team for, and I need to get some of the 3 stars up to do that. So
Yep.
That's my current side thing. I do it before bed. I'm still trying my best to get to bed on time. It's hard to do when you have a game you want to play and Cobra Kai season 5 to get through. But
You only have Cobra Kai season 5 to get through?
I mean, I have tons of other. Buddy,
I have like 7 TV shows.
No, there's way more than just that. But like we talked about this last week. The nerd queue is long, and you just have to prioritize.
Yeah, that's the show of the moment. There will be another one as soon as this one's done.
It's only 10 half-hour episodes, so I'm literally gonna finish it tonight. Very likely. Man, that show's great. And they announced the movie in that universe, not in the Jaden Smith universe.
Oh, very cool.
Yes. Michael, your 2 minutes are up.
Yeah.
You're on the clock is what I mean. Not up, like I wasted them.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Much like Doctor Strange, I am in the end game now. So I have
Did you
finished.
watch Multiverse of Madness? Is that what you're telling me?
No, not yet.
Oh.
I wish I could tell you that, but not yet.
Buddy.
I was going to say, I watched that.
I'm looking forward to it. But no, I have finished all the story content at this point, and I have finished all of the available Traveler side quests.
Whoa.
So at this point,
What?
Go ahead.
I assume none of us are going to be able to get our apps open in the next 5 minutes, but I'm just
There's
curious.
so many. There must be so many.
I'm just mostly curious what his playtime is at this point, because
I think it's pushing 160.
okay, so you're double my playtime.
Yeah,
I'm at 82.
yeah, because I put in
Where does he even track it?
I put in a lot of
in
time.
the party
Party
menu on the bottom left under your band name. So mine says Hateful Eight, and then under that it says 82, 25, 47,
Okay.
48,
I'll
49.
I'll try and find it. Okay, yeah, we get it, Andy.
So I don't have a team yet that is quite good enough to tackle the last couple of fights of the Tiklin Cup.
Okay.
I could probably take on the semifinal boss, but I don't think I quite have a team that's high enough level / high enough awakening to take on Tiklin herself. So I'm, other than doing the dailies, I put in a little bit of time doing some of the 100 enemies of X type that I was closer to finishing. And then I have beaten each of the level 85 battle tested fights at least once. Two of them I can
them like 4 times each, right?
well,
More,
so
probably.
it's more than that, because the weapon that they drop is only guaranteed on the first fight.
Oh, and then it's 50%.
It's like 10%.
Oh.
You
So-
need those weapons for like materials later in the game, right?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. Yep. So two of them I can beat consistently. One of them is every time. One of them is every time, so long as it doesn't use a knockout move on turn 1. And then the other 2 I have only beaten once each.
Oof. Well, there's your COTC update. Michael has beaten the game.
My playtime is 52 hours something.
Oh, wow. You're really mainlining.
Yeah, I have tons of Traveler stories I haven't touched.
Yeah.
Yeah, just and like I haven't done almost any of the like I flee from tons of normal fights. Like I don't.
Oh,
yeah,
I fight all the normal fights because of the 100 enemy type thing.
Yeah, in the highest level area that I'm at, I'll do the fights just because materials for armor and stuff. But in like on my way there or other places, just like nope.
Fair. That's fair. I mean, if you start doing the Traveler stories, that also will help you with the hundreds of enemies, because unless you end up with some of them, like, what was it, Telly's story in Emberglow, where it's literally like walk to one end of Emberglow, walk back to the other 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 end of Emberglow.
I did see today on the internet, someone was like, hey, that achievement you can't do for killing soldiers or whatever from the castle that closes, one of the Traveler stories has a fight against some of those soldiers. And if you fight it, kill those soldiers, and then lose, you can reset the fight and get the achievement that way. It's like the most horrible grind possible.
Oh,
2 at a time.
No.
So don't do that. I'm just gonna say
the soldiers come back much later. That is the one thing that will be accessible later that we lose access to now.
Okay. Well, there's your COTC minute, and since Michael's up, Michael, food. We have to get back to our main thing that brings people to the podcast.
We got to talk about some food.
Food.
So this one is food, but it's kind of the food service industry more than it is any sort of food crime. And that is, if you are a restaurant, and I think this mostly applies to fast food and fast casual places, maybe, just maybe, you don't all need your own app.
What would they do instead of having their own app, dude?
I mean, they could do what a lot of them did before, which is buy into one of the generic programs like 5 Stars.
Michael.
Or you can order off the website like
Michael?
everybody started doing during COVID.
Michael, you have to have your own app so that you can have your own NFTs and crypto for buying their food.
See,
Also, so
you're
you
making
can
my case
steal
for me.
everyone's personal information and
Yes.
sell it yourself rather than collecting it through other people.
Right. How will we know how many double crunch chili nacho tacos that you ordered per year and how many they should continue to make?
I saw something that was really clever over the weekend in line with the stealing your information, which is when you sign up for a service. So say you download the Wendy's app. When you download, enter your name as Andrew Wendy's. So that when your information gets stolen and you get a random email addressed to you as Mr. Wendy's, you'll know which company to reach out to and complain about their data management.
Genius.
Oh, by the way, people have been doing this for years in like every website and every app and everything they download with different names. And yeah, it completely works. You can totally tell all the places that sell your stuff because you'll just get like emails and random things addressed to, so-and-so. And
I know,
Mr. Target.
Yeah. I know that I don't really need to pay attention if somebody in an email calls me Andrew.
Yeah.
Unless it's the government.
Sure.
They don't send emails. They send letters and
they send
people to your house.
Also true. Yeah, it's also true. They don't send emails. That's fair.
I have to say, I think if you're going to provide an app, it should provide a high value. So I eat on, people can say what they want. Chipotle may or may not be a good source of food. I don't know. I find it to be fine, and we eat there often because it's convenient. Not often. I don't know. What's once every 2 months, I guess that might be often.
Regularly.
Yeah, regularly enough. But it's really nice to be able to touch that app, push one button to put the same order I had last time into the cart, push another button to pay for it and have it be ready at the place by me. And if on occasion I have rewards, which they have started doing, let them auto-populate and apply them.
Oh, hey, by the way, specifically for Chipotle, online orders get less food.
Oh, I'm sure they
That's
do.
it's like confirmed by the employees. They say like we're told to give smaller portions to all online orders.
Okay.
It's like, okay.
I mean, sometimes that's fine though. Like if I get a bowl, I don't need the giant like heaping piles of cheese and sour cream.
Not telling you that it's bad. I'm just
The
saying
burrito
it's
is
like
plenty
confirmed
large
by the employees. Yeah, exactly. Right.
I still can't finish it. It doesn't really matter. So I don't know. At most of the time I don't like being in places with people for very long these days. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, like generally those restaurants are not like exciting places to be, even if, public health wasn't a concern. It's just like, oh yes, the place I want to be is sitting in this Burger King. That's where I want to be. No, like never is that been said by anyone.
Yeah.
Except maybe a child.
Well, do distilleries now have their own apps, JJ?
I mean, I can't count it out. I didn't encounter any apps as part of this tour that I was on, but I can't say that that's not possible.
Okay. Okay, then I have a better question.
Mm-hmm.
How many copper stills did you see?
Oh, so many, dude. All of them are made of copper. Like it's not even a thing. Like every still, even the like small ones, and including the ones that are multiple stories high.
Yeah,
nice.
Also copper. Yeah,
nice.
I will say, speaking on the technology front, when we went to Buffalo Trace, they have like a wristband system, and like they scan your wristbands to like verify that you haven't purchased alcohol from them recently, and like they're trying to fight the hoarders and stuff. Like,
oh wow,
like
yeah,
to prevent people.
You can't. If you
how would they prevent hoarding?
They check your driver's license and
Okay.
then against their database, and they
Yeah.
give you a wristband.
And the
And if
wristband is
you have-
forever?
No, the wristband is for that day.
Oh, okay.
But if you have bought from them recently, your name is going to be in the database with the driver's license that you have to give them.
Okay.
And if you're there, they won't give you the wristband, and then you won't be able to buy anything.
Oh.
Interesting.
Okay, so that's not true, right? They have a public store you can go in and buy from that, but the like exclusive stuff or the stuff that's harder to get is gated behind a wristband. And then they have the way the guide explained it is they have a whiskey fairy comes every day and changes the random selection of stuff that you are able to purchase, like the exclusive stuff, essentially, right?
So that you never can know what's in the store and plan on being there for a release of X thing.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And it will be, who knows, right? The day we were there, it was Eagle Rare. Great bourbon, nothing bad to say about Eagle Rare, but also available in lots of places and not impossible to get, but not hard to get, I feel.
Okay.
Also a great price. Eagle Rare, good stuff. But they say like they put everything out there. You could get Blanton's. You could get the what is it, George Stagg or whatever.
Blanton's is great.
Oh.
I liked Blanton's when I had it last. Is it hard to get
So, yes,
now?
everything is hard to get now. Is the answer.
Oh, that's a bummer. I shouldn't have finished my Blanton's.
I mean, it doesn't make it. If you finish it because you enjoy drinking it, then that's the whole point of the thing. So but yeah,
Yeah.
getting Blanton's is hard.
Oh,
Um,
man.
Yeah. But all that stuff is interesting, right? And so they have they're doing that. The other distilleries we went to did not seem to have that compunction or that level of technology involved, but also they weren't really selling the highest end stuff to the people on the floor,
So I guess, did you learn what's happening in the business currently and at large, and whether or not we're in for less speculation and more availability?
So
we didn't talk about it before the podcast, but
So yeah, sure.
there's
So
a lot
I mean,
of that's dropping out. All the Pokemon card speculators have started to lose money finally.
sure. And I mean, what happened is whiskey and bourbon in particular got incredibly popular,
During
and
the
not
pandemic.
just for the past 10 years, it has started gotten steadily more and more popular, and here in America, but also overseas and
China.
in tons of different markets.
Yep.
China,
Japan is huge.
It's popular in Europe in lots of places. The Middle East, Africa, everywhere is buying bourbon, and bourbon can only be made in America.
Like champagne, right?
Yes.
Oh, you can only
Other
be
places-
making it in Bourbon County.
No, not true.
What?
No, not true. Bourbon can be made anywhere in America as long as you follow the specific set of rules. You can make bourbon in Tennessee. You can make bourbon in Chicago. You can make bourbon wherever you want. It does not have to be made in Kentucky, though the people from Kentucky will tell you it is made best in Kentucky.
Of course they will.
Okay.
However,
But it
most
also has to be
places-
made specifically from mostly corn, also, right?
Yes, 51% corn
Okay.
required. And then the other stuff can kind of be whatever you want. Typically, it is rye or wheat, and then some amount of malted barley in various combinations.
Yum.
But what has happened, right, is because of all that popularity, these distilleries are expanding like crazy. Andrew, they have these houses, Michael as well. They have these places where they store these barrels. They call them rick houses. They're 7 stories high. They hold 100 barrels of floor or more, probably. I'm just making a number up. And each barrel is 50 plus gallons.
Ooh.
And they have 20 of these warehouses. And then they're and over there on that plot of land, we're building 20 more. And then when those are finished, we have another acre over here where we're building 45.
How are they getting enough?
Because
wood?
everything has to wait 10 years or 40
No, but
years.
how are they getting
right?
enough wood for this? Because all the wood that bourbon is made with is usually made with oak from France.
No, it's not. It's almost all exclusively made with white oak from various places in the U.S.
Oh, okay. So they've sourced it here now.
I don't think they're sourcing it from France. All the cooperages and the places that they talk to are all making their barrels here.
Nice.
Another requirement in order for it to be bourbon is it must be in a new barrel.
Yes, which is why the
Right.
Scots buy all our old barrels.
And they talked about that a lot. Not just the Scots. They're like, we sell to breweries. We sell to other distilleries. We sell to the,
Well, yeah. Well, I think it was like
anyone who wants them. You want a barrel? Come talk to us. We'll get you a barrel.
I think it was
they're
like 15 years ago they started to outproduce what Scotland wanted for barrels, and they were trying to find places for them to go.
Yeah, every distillery we went to was like, you guys want barrels? You come talk to us. We can hook you guys up with barrels. It's like not that hard to get them, and like they're like, even the bigger places are like, we have rankings of customers. Yeah, it's like the guys making scotch, they're up at the top. They get the good ones. They get their pick. They want Pappy Van Winkle barrels, we'll give it to them, right? Like the lower ones, it's like, oh, like Napa Valley, like just wineries, beer making places. Like we're gonna help these guys out because they're in our industry. It's like guys who want to make flower pots. All right, they're way down on the list, but we're not we're not turning them away. Like we're definitely taking the calls.
You've still got enough barrels.
Yeah. But like the amount of expansion going on in that industry is insane. And like, you just think about the money tied up, right? It's like that barrel has 50 plus gallons in it, but you have to age it at least 4 years in order to qualify again to be bourbon. And by that time, you've lost 40% of the barrel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
That's how the angel share works.
And that's in like 4 years. Well, if you go 10 years, 20 years, those things are like 10% full when you open them.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
I've been to a whiskey distillery in Scotland with like 15-year barrels, and you look in there and you're like, oh,
It's
so
empty.
how much have you taken out? And they're like, nothing. That's what it is. It does it on its own.
We opened this today. Yeah. It's bonkers, and the like amount of product just sitting around because they can't do anything is really wild. So we do you guys have questions? I don't know what to talk about. I can talk about so many things. There's like, I learned so much as part of this trip.
I was mostly curious to know about the industry and how they were going to try and expand without over expanding like beer did. I didn't know if anybody talked about like, yeah, the demand is way up and oh no, the speculation's not going to end. It's not a bubble. I mean, I was just, because we were talking about Blanton's, I was like, oh, I wonder what people are charging for Blanton's. I'm pretty sure I got my Blanton's bottle for like $70 something plus tax, and now they're over $200 if you want to find one.
Yeah,
that
so that
seems unsustainable.
So the thing is that because of, again, like that angel share stuff and the amount and the volumes that are produced, it's like hard to find that whiskey now. Like you can't get it. And the guy specifically at Buffalo Trace who makes Blanton's and a bunch of the other stuff we mentioned, was like, look, I don't advocate you guys buying that marked up stuff. That's not what we price it at. We don't think it should be sold at those prices. But realistically, if you want to drink this stuff, other than here on this tour where we're giving you samples of some of it, right? You just can't get it. Like, that's just how it is. Like, if you want a bottle of LaRue Weller, which is also made by them, find a bottle online and pay hundreds of dollars, or you're out.
Yeah,
right?
but this happened in brewing before their little collapse that has happened this year. It's not a major collapse, but a lot of brewers are struggling with production volume being too high now. But they had to go through this process of like, well, a lot of people can't get our beers, so they created like local sales systems and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I can't find. I mean, it's crazy that you could still get like 16-year scotches for cheaper than you can get a 4-year bourbon.
I mean, Well, to be clear, like there's lots of 4-year bourbon you can buy. Evan Williams is there on that shelf, and
Sure.
it's made in America, family owned, no like large corporation behind them, and honestly, not that bad. And it's $20 a bottle for a handle. But hey, you know what? Say whatever you want about Evan Williams, man. That stuff is not that bad, and they make good product above the like regular barrel price. So Elijah Craig is them, and that stuff is pretty good. Old Forester is really good. Old Forester is really good if you guys can find it.
No, you can't.
But again, I'm just saying, like, they make great stuff, so don't knock on it. But the thing is that I think the issue is all of the explosion and is going to get delayed, right? And the thing that these distilleries are doing, which the beer industry couldn't do or did do, is that the distilleries, because distilling is hard comparative to making beer, is they are working for and contracting out their production. So a lot of these buildings that they're doing is like, Buffalo Trace Distillery makes whiskey for other people. Bardstown Distilling Company makes and produces all the whiskey for instance, High West, and then also a bunch of other partners who they cannot name, as well as then their own stuff. So, they're building capacity, but they're not necessarily building, they're not producing the spirit today. And even if they did, it would be minimum 4 years, much likely longer, before that spirit could hit the market. Like, will we see a glut of 10-year bourbons in 10 years?
Unlikely,
I don't know, maybe.
Right?
Yeah,
well,
maybe not.
Unlikely,
right?
because you could just be like, well, it's really not moving anymore, so make it a 15 and a 20 and a...
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
And, stuff happens. Like, a warehouse gets hit by a tornado.
Oh, no.
Did that happen to one of the places you went?
Yeah, Buffalo Trace had one of their warehouses had the roof ripped off by a tornado, and they were like, "Well, shit, all the booze in here is bad. It was exposed to the weather for months and months." Actually, those barrels are highly sought after of the whiskey from there because it turned out to actually be quite good. They're like labeled as tornado survivor, like bottles and stuff for like single barrels and stuff that they made out of them.
And they can legally sell that because it's not.
Look, they're not like full. The barrels are watertight. It's not like stuff is getting in there.
Sure.
But they figured the flavors were ruined and things. But no, apparently, and people like them apparently.
Huh. Wow.
So anyway, super interesting. I highly recommend that area to folks who are interested in that stuff. Although you really need to figure out a way to make someone else drive if you're going. Don't drink and drive, people. That's insane. And there's so much whiskey and bourbon in those areas that you need to be on a bus or having a driver or something like that because it's.
I don't think the police mess around either.
No. Yeah. Everywhere you went, there are cops. At every parking lot, there are cops.
Yeah.
So yeah. Although I did note that some of the distilleries are quite nice, and the like designated drivers will be getting like free tours. And they'll do some nice stuff for those people. Now they're not giving you like free alcohol at the end of it though.
No, because you're the designated driver.
Well, like I've seen some places where
like
they will give
home.
them like a take home bottle of something because you're doing the right thing. They're not doing that.
Oh.
But at least you don't have to pay for the designated driver to go on the tour and the tasting when they don't get the tasting, because they know, look, the tour is cool and all, but like what you're here for.
Yeah. That's not what the money's for.
Yeah. Very interesting, though. And like, I don't think I knew this, and maybe you didn't either. They store those barrels for, so many years in these big warehouses. They don't like move them or rotate them or anything. They just sit there.
Not like wine bottles, huh? Or wine barrels.
Nope. I was shocked. It's like there's no science applied to that. If you're at the top floor, man, that really sucks. It's going to be hot up there. You're going to evaporate more. You're in the bottom. Cold. Going to be, not as much movement in that barrel. different taste because of that. Facing northwest, you get all the sun. Darn, that really sucks for you. They just like, what? Like they know, they know that these things make differences, but they don't attempt to even it out at all. They're just like, these ones do this and these ones do this, and then they blend
do
later.
even out though. In the long run, a lot of that is blended together.
Yeah, so they do it, and then they just like blend it at the end, right? To like
get the taste they want.
The flavor of Evan Williams or Buffalo Trace or all these other places
is that whole warehouse.
Well, no,
roughly.
It's not that whole warehouse. It's like those 7 warehouses and different barrels from each one. And it's an impressive situation, man. It's really the big ones are like a really interesting tour just because of how big they are. And I will say, if folks go to Louisville, Kentucky, there's also a bunch of these like urban bourbon trail places where there's like little micro distilleries in Louisville itself. And then all the big, yes, as opposed to the like actual bourbon trail where there's a bunch of distilleries on it, where it require you to drive for like 45 minutes between each of these places.
So bourbon.
Yeah. But they have like some of these places in town have like built up like huge experience tasting room stuff. And it's like, you go on a tour. It's like Las Vegas, man. You go and you watch a movie. You get to take a little walk. They have a little micro distillery in the building. You get to taste a little bourbon there. You get to walk, and they show you the history of the company. And like, there's a gift shop, and it's pretty impressive. It's like pretty fun, honestly. And then it's like, oh, by the way, this was brewed here in this building. It's not for sale anywhere else. So if you have tried this one and you like it, this is the only place we sell it. We sell it nowhere else. So,
wow,
good way to start business. So, JJ, I'll hit you with a quick question.
Sure.
Give me 3 of your favorite things that you tasted.
Bang.
Good question. So let's see. Gosh, in terms of actual taste, I think because like the coolest and then the best tasting are maybe different rankings.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Because there was a lot of whiskeys in Scotland. It was like, this was made in this type of barrel. And you're like, that's a strange flavor. I liked trying that, but I'm not going to buy it.
Right. I definitely tasted several of those where you're like, man, this is awesome for people that like this. It's not me, though. I'll go from 3 to 1 here. Several of my favorite ones. I tasted a Weller 8-year, and that is called Peter by Weller. Some people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely not it. But it is, I think it's LaRue Weller, something like that. Anyway, they call these the baby pappies because they are bottles that basically were like, if they had stayed in the barrel for maybe 2 more years, they might have become a Pappy Van Winkle.
Okay.
But they did not, because Buffalo Trace took them out at 8 years instead of 10.
Okay.
Made by the same people there, but like a really, really wonderful taste, and it's wheated, I guess, not rye bourbon. So that was a great taste there.
I'm sure the secret's out on that one, and those are $190.
Yeah, you can't find those. They're expensive. Yeah, no, everything is expensive. Another one that we tasted that was not expensive. I haven't seen it out here yet, but I saw it was all over and available in Kentucky. Is Bardstown Fusion. Bardstown Distilling is a new, very modern, really cool distillery there that, like I talked about, makes all the bourbon now for High West, among a bunch of other places. But they it's a very interesting dichotomy between some of these older distilleries that have been around since like the 1800s and these new modern ones where they're like, we have science. We don't do this sour mash thing where we like reserve part of the mash back to like keep the flavors and the grains and all that stuff. No, we trust the computers and the science that tells us these percentages and the grain counters that say exactly how many grains we have in here. We're just going to get the same result by doing the same thing the next time. Right. And they're like, we have all these like computerized things, and the vats are all done in such a way that we can make like 50 different mash bills in one place without causing, problems. Whereas some of these distilleries are like, we've been making one mash bill in this like distill for 50 years. We're never going to change it. Right.
Sure.
interesting dichotomy there. Anyway, Bardstown Fusion, I think that it's Fusion number 7 is the one that we bought. It's been their like blended whiskey series. And I really, really liked that. It was really like had a really interesting flavor profile, but also very smooth. Yeah, really great bourbon there.
Bardstown
Total Wine
Fusion is available.
Total Wine tells me I can walk across the street and get a bottle.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not.
Bardstown
It's
Fusion's
not
right here.
It's not hard to find. I think it was like $60 or $70 or $80 maybe there from the distillery. I don't remember how much it was.
Also, other wheated whiskeys that you would know include Maker's Mark.
We did not go to Maker's Mark, but I have been known to enjoy Maker's Mark in my life.
So it makes sense that you liked another wheated whiskey.
Yeah. I also like rye. Rye the spirit, not rye whiskey, although I do also like some rye whiskeys. So you know, I have an eclectic taste, but I think far and away the coolest thing we did and the coolest thing I tasted was cask strength from a tiny little distillery called Three Boys Farm, and it's like in a barn. They have like they have a warehouse offsite, but like they have like 2 stills and 2 giant pots and a dog. Like but their whole thing is that you get to do barrel tastings, and they open 3 different barrels with different proofs and different mash bills, and it's all written out, and you can see the stuff there, and they will give you a taste from each barrel, and you can buy it and bottle it yourself. That was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
And they give you this big, long, like effectively a straw. They call it a whiskey thief. And you put it down in there, and you put your finger on the top to close the hole, after it fills up.
Yeah,
and
like when you were 10.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you pull it out, except this way bigger and copper, right? And you pull it out, and then you have your little bottle there, and you try not to spill it. As you fill the thing up, because it's big. Like this thing is like 2 or 3 feet long, because you got to be able to get down into the barrel,
Right.
And then as a result of all this, that you're pulling it straight from the barrel where they were aging it. There's like little charcoal flakes floating around in there and all that kind of stuff, because hey, that's what's in the barrel.
Do they filter it for you, or is that what you get?
Bro, unfiltered. Cask strength. It's real.
Well, cask strength can be filtered.
You could do the filtering, yeah. But look, this place has like a dog. They're not like they're not really doing filtering. Also, like the charcoal doesn't hurt anything, and it doesn't affect the flavor of the whiskey any. Like, to be fully transparent for people who don't know, all those barrels are full of charcoal on the inside anyway, because that's how they get the color and the flavor into the wood, which then makes it into the whiskey. When the whiskey comes out of the still, it's like white, like clear. It looks like vodka. All the color comes from the barrels.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's
and
that's a good set of knowledge for people who didn't know. That's good.
Yeah. So as the tour guides told us, like 80% of the flavor and 100% of the color comes from the barrels.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
At places that are good distilleries, there are less reputable places that will colorize it with chemicals.
Oh, sure, but it can't be called bourbon then.
Sure. Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
The
other whiskeys may
yes,
be
absolutely.
colorized.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything called a whiskey just has to use this process. It doesn't have to follow the strict rules of becoming a bourbon. But yeah, if you see something that says bourbon, you can be sure there's nothing added, because you cannot add things to bourbon other than what's in the mash. So yeah, and that whole process was super cool. We got to bottle our own thing and then take it home. And you know what? For folks out there who have ever been, people like to drink their whiskey neat and they really want to get all the flavors, but I can't do it because the spirits are so high and it like burns my throat and stuff.
Put water in it.
Put water in it, man. It's cool. Yeah. No one cares. Everything. If the people make fun of you for putting ice or water in your whiskey, they are dumb, because those change the flavor and make really interesting different tastes in your mouth when you put just even if you have a tiny little thimble of whiskey and you add a couple drops of water to it, completely new thing. You're testing something completely else.
If you go to a whiskey bar in Scotland, they're on all over the bars. There are little pitchers of water for you to drop water into your whiskey.
Yeah, it's very normal. And I think people who are making high class stuff like encourage you to do that, and no one will scoff at you. So don't be afraid. And like with the cask strength stuff, you may really want to do this. When it's 115 proof, man, you're really like, I could use some water now. Yeah.
Yep.
And to be fair, also they taught us how to drink it. And I don't know if this is something you guys are aware of. It may be something you do unconsciously without realizing. Drinking whiskey, we learned this at a moonshine tasting. Although moonshine is like, okay, so people in Kentucky get weird when you talk about moonshine because it has an illegal connotation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey that's made legally, they will never call moonshine, even if you get it before it goes into the barrels when it's that like white dog or white lightning, they call it. But because it was made legally, it's not moonshine. So don't make people mad. But what gets called moonshine out in the stores or things like that, right? Where it's like cask strength, really, really strong, high proof stuff. When you want to taste that stuff to actually get flavors as opposed to just burning alcohol, you want to breathe in with your nose to smell, like bring it up to your lips, breathe in through your nose to smell it, then take your sip, and then breathe out.
I learned this years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes drinking things like super high proof whiskeys, cask strength stuff, moonshine like that, it makes it tolerable.
Yeah. It was a tequila trick that I heard.
And you will not it won't get rid of for stuff that's really high proof like that, it's not going to get rid of the alcohol burn down your throat, or as one of our tour guides called it, that old Kentucky hug. You get that Kentucky hug coming down your throat feeling there, making you all warm inside. By the way, that's like a thing. All of them say that. It's not like I just made that up. All those people back there say that. But that it won't get rid of that, but it will allow you on the tongue to taste other flavors so that you don't just taste, oh God, burning alcohol. Right. And if you do it the wrong way, you will notice immediately when you're like, oh, I just taste alcohol. Like,
yeah, because you're just basically inhaling all the fumes off the top.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, really, really fun. Had a great time. I learned the amount you're allowed to carry back in a carry-on is 5 liters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or, sorry, not a carry-on. Checked luggage.
Okay.
Not going to let you take that.
That's a lot of liquid for
5 liters of. I just walk through the airport with my 7 bottles of. In checked luggage. We did not exceed that limit, so no worries.
Nice. Well, since we're talking about companies that are doing gangbusters, should we switch it up and talk about 2 companies that are not doing gangbusters for the last few minutes here?
Fair.
Do you guys know who Eaglemoss is? They make the Hero series or something like that. They had the license for basically every science fiction show, television, movie, etc., to make ships, like model ships, little die-cast ships and stuff like that of like Star Trek and not Star Wars, but Battlestar Galactica, Alien, all those companies, right? They licensed all these things to make variations and sizes and all sorts of model ships. Basically, the only people out there doing it. They have entered bankruptcy.
Sad.
Yeah.
Rip.
I mean, I have a gigantic Battlestar Galactica about the size of my forearm from them. And it's a little bit of sad news. There's the lead designer there is trying to save the company. He may be able to do it. We'll see. But it's not the only sad news. I think we should talk about EVGA. As I want to know your guys' opinions after having watched the Gamers Nexus video. But first, I want to say that I personally respect Gamers Nexus. I feel like they have made a point recently of saying that they want to be up to a journalistic standard that is beyond maybe what you would find on YouTube in general. And beyond that. But this is an odd story and delivered in an odd way.
So that's where I was going to start with it. Is I was very surprised at the choice by a company to let a third party break the news of something like this, that they are, pulling away from 80% of their business for ostensibly moral reasons.
And
so I wasn't clear.
not
Did
only
Gamers Nexus break the news?
Gamers Nexus A broke the news, B was under NDA not to break the news, and C were the only outlet invited to hear this information in secret in a locked room.
Okay, that was the part I didn't know if there were other outlets that also had it that were sitting on it until the story had gone up.
As far as I understand it, they were the only ones there.
Wow, crazy.
It smacks of strangeness to me. Not maybe on their part. Obviously, they were invited. But to accept an NDA about something like that is very strange.
Well, I think you don't get to do the story if you don't. Right. Until the company is ready. Because otherwise, you publish the story and their stock drops 10,000% that day or whatever.
They're a private company.
The point still stands, though. The company needs to be ready for a story like that to come out. It's they're going to get 10,000 calls from people being like, "You're canceling my video card" or whatever, when they're like, "No, it's fine. We have a plan." Right?
Yeah.
But I agree with you that the story is weird, and the way it was delivered was also weird. And I think Steve, the Gamers Nexus guy, even says in the video, we had a lot of trouble writing this script, and it shows. I think
it shows. It's unfortunate to me, and I again want to reiterate that I respect them quite a bit. We've sent people to them, and I would still continue to send people to them. I think they have very high level of integrity. But it's very odd that they start the video by basically assuring everyone of everything the company says before ending the video second guessing the company.
Yeah.
It's odd to say, here's the news. And the news is, and I guess we should say it, EVGA, the video card maker, has decided, because they are privately owned by the guy that founded them, that they are not well treated as a partner to NVIDIA, and therefore are walking away from their video card business entirely.
Yep.
No Intel, no nothing.
Yeah, they're not going to go with Intel or AMD. They're just we're out of video cards. Which, to be fair, they weren't making Intel or AMD video cards currently either. They were only making NVIDIA stuff.
But retooling machines you already have is difficult, but not backbreaking, much as giving up 80% of your revenue might be.
Yeah. And, you say EVGA maker of video cards. Well, EVGA now maker of power supplies?
Power supplies? Yeah.
Power supplies that are, third or fourth best in the industry?
Yeah.
I think Corsair is marked as number one by a long shot.
Certainly in terms of sales.
Yeah, certainly in terms of sales, right?
Quality-wise even, too. I think they've been noted highly.
I think the crazy thing in this whole story is that, the CEO is just so straightforward about the whole thing. He's like, I didn't want to do this anymore. I thought we were being treated badly. I'm not going to put up with it. I quit. I quit doing this, right?
Well,
I'm not going,
he's not straightforward about it entirely, right? If you watch the whole video, and this is the part that I think have been...
I want to be clear.
Yeah. But I'm telling other people, if they're interested in this story, watch the whole thing. Because what should have been interspersed at the beginning is some of the stuff in the middle and some of the stuff at the end, when they said that they asked him, okay, so are you retiring? Are you basically shutting down your business because you don't want to sell it to anyone or let it run without you? No. And then they don't continue down the thread that later on he says that doing all this stuff quickly after NVIDIA announces it and this is probably why they wouldn't go with another company, is because all the companies do this, right? They announce everything, and then the companies can get to work building the cards. Is too stressful and taking him away from his family too often. And it's like, well, that's called like semi-retirement then, you know, or
I mean, or he wants to have a better work-life balance, and that should be allowed to everyone, even CEOs who are the worst.
Yeah,
sure, but and Steve does make this as a
the
good
answer
point.
should be like, if this is his problem, which maybe it is, and maybe it's not, I don't know, but like if that's his problem, you can like hire other people to do this job, and then you get to be the CEO, chairman emeritus, or whatever. Make a bullshit position for yourself where you still get to vote, right?
yeah.
Like,
and they talk about that in the video too.
And
all companies do that.
Like stepping back into an advisory role when someone else takes over.
Yeah, very clearly.
All the companies
uninterested.
do that. Like,
Yeah.
very surprising.
I was happy.
I think
to
that was
hear
the part that surprised me when they asked that, and he was like, "No." I was like, "Well, what?" I assumed that's exactly what was happening here.
Or no, I think the part that surprises me even more than that is, okay, so what's the plan to expand your business? We're not expanding our business. How are you going to make more money? We're not going to make more money. How are you going to keep all the people? We're going to pay everyone. It's very clear that this is one of two things. It's a bluff, or it is a snap decision that he says he's been thinking about for a long time that he hasn't. That is literally just like, no, we're done in this business. I have been slighted, and therefore we will just be making this decision. And damn the torpedoes and consequences.
The feeling I got from this is like a face thing, right? Like do you know that concept?
I believe he is
losing face?
Taiwanese, the owner.
Yeah. He is one of, I don't want to say one of those, but like an Asian ethnicity that I don't know exactly off the top of my head.
I believe he's Taiwanese. He came from overseas to start the company, and he started it. I'm 90% certain of that because Steve mentioned in the video that they started in Taiwan and that they have now laid off most of the people in Taiwan.
Yes. Yeah, it's mostly a U.S. company at this point, right?
Yeah.
And most of their sales, I think, were U.S. also.
Yes, very, very noted in their company profile, which I looked at after this.
And so I wonder if it's a case where he feels that he was slighted personally by someone in NVIDIA or the CEO,
we're talking about
or whatever.
Andrew Hahn, by the way.
The owner of EVGA, right? Yeah. Where he feels he was slighted personally or whatever, and like he doesn't need the money because he's a CEO. All CEOs are like or owner, right? He's fabulously wealthy, and downsizing the company is preferable to taking the insult, right? That's kind of the feeling I get here.
Mm-hmm.
I know nothing. I don't want to be extremely clear. I have no knowledge. I watched a couple videos on the internet. I know nothing. But that's the feeling I get from this, because like, why else would you do this? You're just throwing money away. And like he goes, oh, they're not very profitable. But did you say that they're unprofitable though? Like that's a different, right? It's a big difference to say like you don't make much money on them.
One of their big problems,
don't make any money.
One of the big things he thought was disrespectful was that you get access to the 3090s at the last second, and you're supposed to sell them first, and basically NVIDIA sets the price and tells you to take a bath on them.
Right. Yeah. That part was,
and it's like, well, then don't sell that many of them, or what, like there's ways around this within the system that they're trying to create. And it is possible that they're going to try and shoulder out. Steve does a good job in talking about NVIDIA's vision of the future and their CEO being probably pretty disrespectful person to work with, it sounds like.
And I mean, it definitely sounds like NVIDIA feels that these people, these companies that make these cards for them are like replaceable cogs in a machine, and they super don't care about them. So it's probable that this is true, right? Like,
yeah, I could see a future.
That they're leaving. They're like, cool, great.
I could definitely see a future where a company like Gigabyte or whoever stays in this game ends up selling you parts for you to take apart your NVIDIA card and put their parts on it. you know?
I mean, those parts already exist, right? Like companies do that now.
Oh yeah,
They're
for
just
if you want to do
small
water cooling
potatoes,
and all
right?
that sort of stuff, you do that,
Yeah,
right?
just-
But like
They're
I'm
just small
talking about
potatoes, but,
whole
like, yeah.
tooling being redone for people to just stop buying the cards from NVIDIA at
Yeah, it
major
could be,
companies. I don't know.
You know, or maybe it goes the other way, right? Where everyone buys the cards from NVIDIA and then you just buy like kits to disassemble NVIDIA's thing on top and put your thing on top.
That's
right?
what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Like I said, that stuff exists now, but it's like small potatoes. Not many people are water cooling their video cards.
No. And really honestly, at this point in time you don't need to. I kind of believe personally. Like
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I don't see my video card running hot. It's really my processor that I need more cooling for.
The video card only runs hot when my room is hot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. On that.
They're really doing a good job cooling these things, and they use 4 times as much power as they used to.
And I think it's getting worse. Like the next generation is going to be even harder. Yeah.
But the technology in them is built for keeping them cool. So I don't know. It's interesting. I definitely watched that whole thing with my mouth open, thinking I can't believe someone would just detonate their company this way without it being some kind of bluff or an open invitation for someone to come in and buy out their part of the business. You know, like, oh, we're just done with this. It's like, okay, well, I'm AS Rock and I don't have video card production. Maybe I want to go buy that factory.
Mm-hmm. I think there will always be someone looking to buy engineering talent and looking to buy parts. You know, this stuff is still, despite all of this, in demand, right? So, you know, really, you really feel bad for the people who are like GPU cooling designers working at this company, and they're like, we're getting out of the GPU business. This guy's like, what do I do? I have no job.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the part that really sucks. You know, people that were like, oh, I am a person who designs video card housings, or I'm a person who helps market and sell video cards. Like, okay, I could market and sell power supplies, but we're not so many, and there's a lot of people here that do this job.
Yeah, there's already
right?
a designer of the power supply. You don't know the technology as well as that guy because you've been working on video cards. I mean, that guy
Exactly.
who's working on video cards, he makes that point in the video. You could maybe Andrew Hahn will sit there and pay him for 3 months before he finally decides he can't pay him anymore.
Cross train or something, sure, for a little bit
even
until
then,
they're not
he's
as
not
good as
gonna.
the other person that was
Right.
already there.
Yeah. So you're going to shop right now, starting now. All those people are quitting.
Yep.
I don't know that they are, but they are. If they're not, haven't announced it yet. They've already made phone calls or gotten phone calls, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Again, yeah. Someone at AS Rock or somebody who doesn't make video cards has already called and said,
Look, I'll go ahead and tell you, engineering talent of any kind is hard to find, especially good and senior level. So companies will come calling, for sure.
Yeah. What a bizarre and horrible story, and delivered in a very the thing about it being about the ego, right? Han's ego definitely seems confirmed by him going and being like, call these people and we're going to tell them behind closed doors and they'll get our message out in a way that's fair. Right? And like, did he not expect them to try and find? I mean, Steve didn't do a great job debunking anything that the guy said or trying to find stuff from the other side, but he did say that NVIDIA wouldn't return his call. So
It's kind of hard to do that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, what are you supposed to do?
But he did have 5 weeks, I guess, to try and make a story out of it. They may not have the access they need in order to get.
Right. That's the point. If the other side just plays all the cards out their chest, what are you supposed to do? Right. Yeah. They won't show you anything. Yeah. And NVIDIA has no responsibility to do anything about this. Right. They're like, no, why not our business? Cool. Yeah. See you.
Okay. See you later. I mean, as bluffs go, it's a bad one because if I'm NVIDIA, I just say someone will buy that allocation. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what NVIDIA is saying, and I'm sure no one in NVIDIA is losing any sleep over this whatsoever.
Yeah, which is an even more bizarre realization for like you've detonated your company for no reason, for no gain other than pride. It's amazing. I don't know what they do in a year in business, but it's enough. It's not nothing.
No, I mean, these video cards are expensive. It can't be.
Yeah. So annual revenue estimate for 22 was $78 million. That's not profit, but I mean, the company's profitable. It wouldn't have lasted this long if it's not, because it's not publicly traded.
Yeah.
Right.
So, my God, take away 80% of that. What are you at? 80 million times 0.2, 16 million. Okay.
Think of the poor CEO. He might have to sell back his other yacht.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's in for a much more grounded retirement of only 3 homes instead of 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might have to take a gold parachute instead of a platinum one.
What color is his parachute, Michael?
Say what now?
That's a book reference. What color is your parachute? There you have it. If you've read that book, where should you email us?
You could send that to podcast@weweregamers.com. We'd love to hear your questions and your information about this book, which I don't know the title of because Adrian didn't actually say it.
I did.
So that
what
is the
color is
title.
your
What color
parachute?
is
Is
your
the
Okay.
title.
I didn't know that
Title.
was actually. I thought it was just a quote from the book. I'm like, what book
No,
is
no,
this?
no.
Just tell me the
What
title.
color is your parachute? I think it was by Bowles. I'll look it up. You go.
Nah, you don't need to look it
I think
up.
that's
It's fine.
right. Richard.
Folks can email in with the title and the name. Podcast@weweregamers.com. We're also on social media. Find us at We Were Gamers, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those places. The videos that have been going up lately have been really choice. People should be checking those out. They are very good.
Yeah, I think last week I left off the audio visualizer just because of the render time. I needed to get it up. It was a little bit late. Last week was fun though. We had Ken on.
We had a very good time.
We rambled for quite a while, but we were having a great time.
I saw the length was quite long.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to talk about how nothing makes sense sometimes. Hey, I actually know for a fact, this is our outro, then you've got to go, but there are people in Puerto Rico that listen to our podcast, and I know they may not listen to this for a while considering the current situation there without power, etc. Again, stay safe and do your best to take care of each other. It's not a good spot to be in. 25 inches of rain.
Yeah, it's frightening.
That's
Scary, for
terrifying.
sure.
I can't imagine what it's like to try and protect your family from the sky.
Stay safe out there, folks.
Stay safe. Everybody stay safe. But thoughts to those people.